Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and in this video we're reviewing Arrow Season 2, Episode 9, 3 Ghosts. This episode was just so action-packed. It was so good, just so action-packed. It was really, really good. And the perfect mid-season finale. Oh my god, that ending, there's gonna be so much up for grabs in the second half of this season, and I'm definitely looking forward to it from this episode. So let's just get started. So, if you don't remember the last episode, Oliver was accidentally poisoned at the end of his fight and in bad shape, laying on a table in his hideout. And Felicity brought in Barry Allen to help find a cure for Oliver. And, so that's basically how it ended. So, tonight's episode began literally right after that. Literally just right after that. So, we began with Barry, Felicity, and Dig fighting to save Oliver's life. Barry diagnoses that Oliver's blood is clotting too much. He gives Oliver a small dose of rat poison to thin his blood. And Oliver begins to hallucinate and see Shadow's ghost. And she says, "Stay with me." And so Oliver comes back to consciousness. He's alive, but upset that Felicity told Barry his secret identity. So Oliver gets a text from his mother to come home. He leaves the house, but is still upset that Felicity betrayed him. And he does not trust Barry. So I really like that he's kind of just like pissed at Felicity at this point. So at home, Thea has locked herself in her room. She lets Oliver in. Roy and Sin are in there. Roy still has an arrow stuck in his leg from when the arrow shot him, and Oliver needs to pretend like he does not know what is going on. They need to keep Roy's injuries secret from the cops because there would be a lot of questions asked about an arrow wound, and Oliver removes the arrow and warns the three teens to not get into any more trouble. And as Oliver walks the halls of the Queen Mansion, he sees Shadow's ghost again, and he touches her, and she has a warning for him. You can't fight what is coming. She says she asked him to stop fighting, or everyone he loves will die. And I'm kind of like, what? What's going on here? So this episode actually was perfect time for flashback because of what we got there with Shadow. It was like just the perfect time for flashback, in my opinion. And I'll get to the flashbacks after this, but basically, Brother Cyrus tells Brother Blood that they will have much more of the serum ready in 48 hours. Blood is ready to have an army of miracle soldiers at his disposal. And at Arrow's hideout, Barry is admitting Oliver's weapons. And Dick points out that Oliver now likes to be called the Arrow, not the Vigilante. And this is the first time we have heard that. He's been wanting to be, that we haven't really heard. I mean, I think in Season 2, Episode 1, they kind of speculated that he wanted to be called the Arrow. Because, I mean, this show is called Arrow, and, now that group that was like the Vigilantes, they're called the Hood, I think he really does not want to be called, that anymore. And I thought that was interesting. So Oliver tells him he is having hallucinations, and Barry runs some tests on him. Barry comments on how to make a mask for her instead of just using grease paint under Oliver's eyes. And this is probably foreshadowing for the mask that Barry will wear when he becomes the Flash eventually, which is probably going to be pretty soon, judging by the end of this episode. So Felicity has found the identity of Brother Cyrus. His name is Cyrus Gold, just like in the comics. She has facial recognition software scanning to his face and knows where he is. So Dig is going to do recon to see if they can figure out where Brother Cyrus's base is. So Thea and Sin go to visit Laurel, and as an aside, Laurel wasn't in the last episode, so she's back now in this one. And her character has really gone stagnant for the time being. And so Thea and Sin want help finding out who murdered Sin's friend Max. The police says it was an OD, but Sin and Thea think it may be tied to Max donating blood at Councilmen Blood medical facility. And Diggs breaks into Cyrus's hotel room. He finds nothing more than a box of nursery rhymes, a book of nursery rhymes, sorry. And so Cyrus comes in and throws Dig across the room. He is not even there. Dig fires several shots, but it appears he has not hit anything. He jumps out a window and escapes. So Arrow tells Detective Lance about the whereabouts of Cyrus Gold. He tells Lance to bring backup and be prepared to shoot to kill, because Cyrus will certainly kill them if he can. Arrow sees another ghost, and this time it's Slade, so he flees before Slade can say anything to him. And definitely 3 Ghosts was a great tie over this episode, so that was definitely, I really love that. So then Laurel shows up at the Queen Mansion to talk to Thea, and Laurel says Blood's blood drives are perfectly legal and seem honest, so Barry and Felicity are chatting while doing scientific experiments. Now, this scene I actually really liked. Barry says he can understand why Felicity might like Oliver, and they're talking about the Star Labs, and Barry mentions that he won't be able to be there to see it turn on for the first time, and he says, I suspect seeing that particle accelerate is how you get to turn into someone who accelerates pretty well himself. And this was a really cute scene, especially the part where he says, someone who loves me more than, but they don't love me as much as I like them. I think he's kind of talking about Felicity, and that he's starting to kind of develop a crush on her, I think. And that I was hoping he'd stick around, and I think he is probably going to come back because he adds a lot to the show. So I really hope that he does come back. So, yeah, he really should come back because that'd be great. So Detective Lance, he's organizing this team to take out Cyrus Gold, and Blood's policeman officer Daly is going to be a part of the team. He calls Blood to warn him and Cyrus. The police raid goes badly. They are no match for Cyrus. Detective Lance gets knocked out. His commanding officer, Lucas, is killed by Cyrus. So at the Arrow hideout, Oliver sees Slade's ghost again. Slade taunts Oliver, telling him he is no hero. They get into a fight. Slade throws Oliver all over the place. The ghost disappears, but the hideout is still a wreck. And Detective Lance, he's taken to the hospital. Laurel comes to visit him, and she tells him about Lucas's death. Councilmen Blood shows up to comfort Laurel, and they're getting very cozy, and they hug. And Arrow secretly visits Detective Lance, who gives him a piece of evidence he took off Cyrus, and it's some sort, kind of a key. So Lance asks Arrow to kill Cyrus, which is pretty big. So Oliver and Dig talk about the ghost. Dig says he too had survival guilt when he came back from Afghanistan, and he too saw ghosts. So he says Oliver will stop seeing them when he figures out what the ghosts are trying to tell him. And Felicity has tracked the key to the building in the Glades. So Roy is investigating Blood's medical facility, and he finds a file on Max that indicates he is a candidate for a miracle. And someone is trying to burn the facility to the ground, and Roy tries to get out, but he gets caught up by one of Blood's men first. So Roy gets taken to Blood's lab, where Blood begins to give him a dose of miracle. Just then, Arrow bursts in. He demands to know where Blood got the drug. Blood says it was a gift. Cyrus comes in and starts fighting with Arrow. Meanwhile, Roy begins bleeding from his eyes. Brother Blood checks Roy's pulse and says another failure. So is Roy, the question is Roy dead? We don't know, because we don't really see Roy after this episode. So did Roy die? I don't know. We'll have to, I wasn't sure what was going on here. But then the biggest part of the episode, the most touching part of the episode, is Oliver sees his third ghost, and that's Tommy. Yes, Tommy, the guy who died at the end of the first season, who I absolutely know nothing about because I did not watch the first season. And he tells Oliver to get up and keep fighting. He says, you are a hero, now get up and fight back. Oliver's inspired and begins kicking Cyrus's butt. There's an explosion which seems to meet half of Cyrus's face. Blood flees. Oliver races over to Roy and manages to bring him back to life. So it's interesting what's going to happen to Roy because, Roy's not back to life. So is Roy going to have some sort of superpower now? We'll have to see. So Councilman Blood's on TV. He announces that he plans to run for mayor. Afterwards, Blood goes to meet with a shadowy figure, and Blood says their supply of the miracle serum has been lost. The man in the shadows says they can get more of it by getting it from his blood. He instructs Blood not to challenge, who apparently did not die on the island. He knows Arrow is Oliver, and he says he must be done to punish Oliver. He is going to kill or corrupt everyone Oliver loves. He is going to destroy anyone who follows him. And clearly the serum, did something to him. We see Roy, who is his leg fully healed, so clearly the serum has done something to Roy. We don't know what's happening to Roy, but I think Roy's going to get some sort of superpower from this, from the serum. So Oliver goes back to the hideout. He asks Felicity where Barry is, and he went home to see the launch of the particle accelerator. But he arrived too late. In his lab, he watched the newscast that talks about the accelerator being turned on. There's a big storm outside that causes the accelerator to malfunction. Barry looks out the window and sees a flash of light. Everything around him starts acting funny. A burst of electricity shoots into the lab, striking Barry. And Barry has a left present so yeah, pretty much I think this is where Barry's going to turn to the Flash, and I think when we get to the Flash, the show, this is where the show's basically going to pick up, is after this scene, so that should be interesting. But at the end of the episode, we see Barry's left a present for Oliver, back to the hideout, and it's a mask that will form to his face and protect his identity, and he finally really looks like Green Arrow, and that's how the episode ended. And I could not be happier with this episode. I absolutely loved it, but there was one other thing to talk about in this episode, and that was the flashbacks, which the flashbacks in this episode were actually very necessary, judging by him being visited by Slade and Shadow. You know, they were very necessary to have them visit him. So the flashbacks are definitely necessary. So we're back on the island inside the Japanese sub. Slade is dead. Ivo and his men burst in and have guns drawn on Oliver, Shadow, and Sarah. And Sarah pleaded with Ivo to spare everyone's life. He puts her and Shadow on the ground on their knees. He tells Oliver to pick one of them to live and one to die. And Ivo will shoot both of them. And so Oliver refuses to pick who Ivo should shoot, so Ivo's about to shoot Sarah. Oliver jumps in front of her. Ivo says, I guess you made your choice, and he shoots Shadow instead. So she's dead. This was very important because we saw her as a ghost. So by seeing this, we basically got to see how she died and everything. So yes, the flashbacks in this episode were very necessary, and I actually really like the flashbacks in this episode because they were necessary. So the last thing we see is that Shadow actually recovers from his dose of miracle and runs from the sub. He's screaming for his love, Shadow. He finds Ivo's men and kills them with ease, even punching into one man's chest. He finds Shadow's body and says, whoever did this, it hurt to her, is going to suffer. So Slade is pretty much a big badass now, which should be very interesting to see. So yeah, I was very impressed with this finale. I really loved it. We basically see a lot of stuff, especially now that Councilmen Blood is on. You know, he is going to basically kill everybody that Oliver loves, and Oliver is going to have to fight him, basically. So now it's all out war between Councilmen Blood and Oliver. I don't know if you guys saw that. Barry Allen leaving. Do you think we're going to see him again in Arrow, or do you think this is the end and it's going to pick up here in The Flash? Do you think we'll see him again, though? I really hope we see him again. Also, what's happening to Roy? It seems like he's developing some sort of power. I don't know what's going on there. Also, Slade. Is Slade going to be the big villain on the island now? It seems like he's going to basically try to kill everybody. Eventually, I mean, the whole point of this is to lead to Sarah's death. That's the whole point of this. To lead to Sarah's death. Also, what do you think of the three ghosts? I think Tommy was by far the most effective part there. It was very, very effective. And, Blood's ambition, was revealed. And, so that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it. And let me know what you guys saw this episode. That's it for my, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be for American Horror Story, which won't be till tomorrow, but I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye!